Okay, I will go ahead then. So I'm just gonna kind of go through the rules and give some tips. And I do want to mention that I'll be doing a workshop in January at Lons Cruise. So this will be a chance for the kids to do things, some hands-on things to learn and ask questions. So they'll need to bring all their gear with them, their kit and their goggles and aprons or lab coats. So I just wanted to mention that. Um, so Crime Busters, the kids will be given a scenario or a story, some possible suspects with information about each suspect, and they'll have to perform a series of tests to determine evidence and figure out how to, if that evidence links to the suspects as to whether they are guilty or not guilty or for the analysis at the end. So first off, each participant can bring one sheet front and back, 8.5 by 11, uh, with any kind of information they would like to have. Um, and they can put it in a sheet protector. That's highly recommended just in case something gets spilled on it. It doesn't ruin their cheat sheet. Um, you should bring a calculator as part of their kit. They can bring anything listed on the equipment list. Um, so let's see. When the students come in, the event supervisor will check their kits to make sure that they haven't brought anything that's prohibited or not allowed, and will confiscate whatever isn't, and they can grab it on their way back out. They can be penalized for bringing stuff that's not allowable into the event. So please make sure that they only bring what they're allowed to bring. They must have goggles, an indirect vent that seals around. So not the goggles that have like the little holes on the sides where things can come in. Um, they must wear either an apron or a lab coat. Um, so their skin has to be covered down to their wrists, down to their ankles. No open-toed shoes. No leggings or tight fitting pants. Loose fitting is best, just in case there is a spill or something. We want them to be as safe as possible. If their hair is long enough to be pulled in a ponytail, they need to have it pulled back in a ponytail for the competition. Um, they need to make sure they have their clothing and safety equipment on at all times. Uh, they the supervisor will provide an iodine reagent, 1 molar hydrochloric acid, uh, chromatography materials plus containers, which will usually be a beaker, um, waste containers, a wash bottle of distilled water. Um, they can also provide a microscope, other types of probes or calculator. If they give fibers, they can provide a candle and matches for testing those fibers. If they have if they are given plastics, they can provide differential density solutions such as distilled water, vegetable oil, an isopropyl alcohol solution, um, a sodium chloride solution, um, etc., uh, and other reagents that can perform any additional tests. So they have um, powders that they have to know. They will be given 6 to 15 of solids, metals, and liquids combined. For the competition. And they can have up to two solids with two, combination of two different powders together. One of the tests that they need to do ahead of time and know how each reacts to it would be solubility, acidity, magnetic property, color density, and odor, to help them figure out what the item is. So they should, before they go in, and they should have on their cheat sheet a chart of all the different solids, metals, and liquids, and how they've reacted to the different things like solubility, how it reacts with hydrochloric acid, it, and how it appears, and what the uses are for the different items. So the metals, you have aluminum, iron, zinc, magnesium, copper, and tin. So they should be testing those with are they magnetic? How do they react with water? How do they react with hydrochloric acid in your liquids? And also, please make sure the kids, when they're smelling for the liquids, they waft. They don't smell it directly. They waft the odor, and they'll be they should test the pH of the liquids as well, and again make a chart for their reactions. When it says water, you should practice using distilled water only, because tap water is different for everyone, and it has different minerals and things in it that can affect the test. So you should always be using distilled water. Same with testing with the other solids. You should only use sorry, I didn't move this up. Distilled water. So for the polymer testing, they can have up to 7 different samples of hairs, fibers, and plastics. They can do a combination of all 3. They could do all of one thing if they want, but they should definitely know how to identify all of them. So for hairs, they have to know the difference between human, dog, and cat. They should be able to identify them by looking at them under a microscope, or microscopic pictures of them. And that's something they might want to put on the cheat sheet as well. For fibers, they should know the difference between animal, vegetable, and synthetic. They do not have to know the specific kinds like polyester, nylon, cotton. They just have to know which category they fit into. So they'll want to do a lot of burn tests to practice this. So a tea light candle works perfect. You need to have metal tweezers that, and you can have them start off with a little piece of fabric, but I like to have them use threads. It's that way, if they can identify it by a thread, it'll be easier to identify if they're given more than a thread. But they should take all kinds of observations while they're burning it. They should practice it, putting it near the flame. How does it react? Putting it in the flame. How does it react? Does it burn? Does it ignite? Does it have an odor? Does it melt? Does it leave some type of ash? They should write down all their observations while they're testing it. And then plastics. They will not be doing burn tests on plastics. They'll be using the differential solutions that I discussed earlier. So chromatography. They need to know how to run a chromatogram. And they'll have you have different things that they can be given. They can be given a pen, markers, washable markers, juices, and they'll be running the chromatogram during the test. And they should actually start, the first thing they should do when they get their test is they should run the chromatograms, because they do take the longest. They can take 10 to 15 minutes to run. And they have to make sure that they keep an eye on them so that they don't run off the paper, the chromatography paper. And once they're dried, they'll need to know how to measure the R factors, retention factor, and how to calculate that. So they need to make sure they have at least one ruler and a calculator to do the calculation. And then there's some subtopics that they need to know about. Crime scene physical evidence. The first thing is fingerprints, and I believe they can ask 1 to 2 topics of the 5 that are listed. So they do need to know all of them, because they will not know ahead of time which ones will be chosen. So fingerprints, they'll need to be able to identify them as whorls, loops, or arches. DNA evidence, they'll be comparing chromatograms and electropherograms between what was found as evidence at the scene and each suspect. So they pretty much have to just compare them next to each other and see if any of them match exactly or not. Shoe prints and tire treads. They will be asked to compare the prints and make conclusions such as direction and speed of travel, but they will not have to do any calculations. So a lot of that is just picture matching. And then soil. So they might be given a sample of a type of soil that was found at the scene or on the suspects, and they have to determine if that evidence implicates any of the suspects. Spatters. They have to be able to analyze the spatter patterns for speed and direction of impact. Is it high velocity spatter, medium, or low? And they can practice that if you have like a big sheet of paper with, you take a dropper and mix some paint, washable paint or whatever, into a dropper, and practice having them do it from a low and squish it and see how it reacts, then up higher and squeeze it again and see what happens, and then even higher, so they can see the difference between low, medium, and high impact spatters. Once they've done all their tests, they will need to write an analysis. And during the analysis, they're going to determine who they think the most likely culprit is. They should never just flat out say, so-and-so did it. They should say the most likely suspect is, and then they'll be listing all the evidence that points to that person based on the description and the investigation evidence results. And then they should also tell why the other suspects were not chosen as possible culprits. The evidence that they have could be, was it there anyway because they worked in a bakery and sugar was found on them, and sugar was found at the scene. So they could have had sugar on them anyway because they worked at a bakery. They should also hazard a guess as to a motive that each suspect might have for having committed the crime. And this is definitely a divide and conquer event. So once the kids have learned stuff, one person may become better at certain things than the other, and so they'll divide who's doing what during the testing. Otherwise, they will not have time to complete all the testing throughout the test. And one person should be, whoever's writing the analysis, the other one should be taking the time to clean things up. If they don't clean up their spot, they can be penalized up to 10% by the event supervisor. So they want to make sure that they definitely clean up their area before they leave. So there is a list of equipment in the national rules book for Crime Busters. So they do list on their beakers. I don't know that it's necessary to have more than one or two beakers because chromatography materials should be provided by the event supervisor, but it might be a good idea to have at least one just in case. Sometimes at invitationals, they don't realize that they're supposed to provide it. So just to have on hand just in case. They should definitely have some spot plates or petri dishes to mix the tests in. They should have slides and cover slips and know how to make a slide. They could ask them to prepare a slide of either of a hair or something. So they should know how to do that. They should definitely have some droppers, something to spoon out some of the powders with. Should have a stirring rod to mix with the liquids. Definitely have metal tweezers, not the plastic ones, because they'll be using tweezers to hold the fabric over the flame. Definitely need to have pH paper, a hand lens. Definitely have some pencils and paper towels for cleaning. Definitely need to have a magnet for testing on your metals. It's a nice box that fits everything into it. Some test tubes. And rack and holder and brush to clean it with. So that was kind of a quick overview of the rules. Let me see, how do I? Does you guys have any questions about anything I've talked about so far? Something I can expand on or? So you guys are muted, so I don't know if you're saying anything or not.
Hello. Can you
Hello.
hear me?
Yes,
So I actually did Crime Busters last year. I think I might have went to a couple of your workshops. Did you do the workshops last year?
I did. Yes.
Okay. So I did go to your workshops and stuff last year. I learned a lot of valuable information from you.
Hmm.
Um, so when my daughter went to competition, the only issue that they had was with the divide and conquer is because like the papers were all like double sided. So it was really hard,
Mm,
you know what I mean, for them to be able to be writing at the same time. Like he was trying to do the analysis while she was still working on the other sheet. So that was a concern, but I don't know how you would, you know, how
yeah.
what the easy solution is for that. That was like
Yeah,
the
I
biggest
don't
issue, the
know.
time restraints, because like that hour goes by really fast with everything that they have to, as I'm sure you know.
Yeah,
So,
I'm actually the event supervisor for forensics, and I actually do mine single-sided. So
oh, okay, well that's good. That makes it a lot more user friendly for sure.
yeah, yep. Because in you usually they allow you to tear it apart, but yeah, if they do it double-sided, that can be a little problematic. Um, so I mean, they both should know how to do everything, and just in case, because you never know what can happen.
I'm on a call. Go get it.
Um,
So the other thing I was just wondering, listening to, I feel like last year, like they weren't expected to have to figure out what the R factor was. Is that
that's
new this
correct.
year? Oh, okay.
Um, so they didn't last year, but they did the year before. So I don't know why they keep changing it back and forth. It's kind of annoying. But they do have to know it for this year. And
Okay.
I'll have that at my workshop in January. I'll have some sheets
Oh,
and stuff
you
set
wait a
out.
minute. You do have a workshop? When I was looking at the workshop sheet, I didn't see Crime Busters listed.
So it'll be the one in January. They may not have put it on there yet. I don't know why, but it should be.
Okay,
Um,
yeah, I saw all the hands-on building ones, but I didn't see the Crime Buster one. So I was just thinking that maybe they just switch it each year. I don't know.
I'll
All
be
right,
there.
but you will have one in January. Do you know the date yet, or you don't know?
Yeah,
Or
I'm
it's the
not.
one listed. It may be
It
the
should
one
be.
that's listed online for the other ones. The
Yeah,
one
it's the
at
one
South
that it's the one that's
Lakeshore, the Lance
combined.
Cruise.
The Lance Cruise. It's the one that's
Hmm,
combined for state. Um,
okay. Okay.
there any
Well,
other
good.
questions? Any other tips I can do or help with?
No, that's it. It's a good thing I checked in with you. So it's good to know. I'll keep my eye open for that workshop and get us signed up for that then.
Yes, definitely.
And will you cover a lot of the same types of things like you did last time? Is it a
Um,
series this time or is it just one day?
I'm just the one day. Um,
Okay. Do you
because
know
I
what
also
exactly you plan to cover during that time?
probably a lot of the same stuff. I try to do things that I think that are more difficult for them to maybe do at home per se. So like the microscopes. I like to bring my
Mhm.
slides for them to look at under the microscope because a lot of kids don't necessarily have access to look at slides. So
Right.
um,
That was a tricky one for them. I remember last year.
yeah.
And
So
then also, do you think you may like go over like the R factor then since that's new?
sure, I can.
Okay.
I have sheets already made out that have uh, um, the information on them and the formula and stuff. So I'll have the rulers and they'll run chromatograms and let them dry and then come back and do the R factors on them once they've dried. Um,
Oh, that would be great.
was going to say something. So, um, Michelle, I think it is, you were brand new, I believe. Um, um, just some advice to tell you is don't let it overwhelm you when you're starting to teach the kids. Break it down into sections. Um, just start off with, just the powders first and have them do all that. Then work on the next thing, the metals, and then the next thing, the liquids. Just break everything down section by section.
Thank you. Yes, I am feeling a little overwhelmed
It
right
is it
now.
is it is very overwhelming. But
Yes.
if you break it down section by section, like for the powders, don't do mixtures until they've learned how to identify them individually. Um, Once they get pretty good at doing them individually, then start, putting the two powders together and have them identify them. Um, Spend 1 week doing nothing but liquids and, and then come back to it. It's a practice, 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 basically. Um, and there used to be anyway, I haven't looked recently, a bunch of tests on the test exchange. I assume that's still around. Um, Doing invitationals is a big help. It helps them see how the test is going to run at regionals, um, and uh, better prepare. Um, I-
What is the test exchange?
um, it's a wiki, like, wait, hey Manish. Oh, I think if you type in, I don't know if it's on the national or uh, wiki exchange. I'm trying to remember. It's been a while. I haven't coached in my kids are all grown up, so I haven't coached in a while, so I don't remember offhand what the site is. The Have you been to the national website or the
No,
state's, I'm sorry, the state website?
no, I've
Uh,
just done the Macomb County.
so miscioli.org is the state site, and that's miscioly.org. They have all kinds of presentations on there, as well as a list of state workshops, which will be the one in January will be at Lons Cruise.
Mhm.
Um, and that'll be a really good one to come to for Crime Busters. Um, I will be there with hands-on stuff for the kids to practice and learn and do and ask questions.
Okay.
Um,
What
like
did
I
you
you
mean by doing invitationals? Sorry,
so
I'm so new to this.
no, that's okay. That would be the head coach would sign up for.
Oh,
Um, it's like a practice tournament kind of thing.
okay.
So, but that's something that they would have had to have signed up for um, to do.
Okay.
What school are you from?
Iroquois.
Iroquois. Okay.
And we did do Crime Busters in elementary school.
Yeah, it's a little
Um,
bit different.
yeah, so we have some experience with powders, but this is like the next level. So
Yeah. Well, when they go to high school, it'll be another level.
I'm yes, definitely a little overwhelmed right now coming from the elementary to the middle school. So yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit different. A lot more events, a little more difficult. And in fact, Crime Busters was the first one I coached at the junior high level. So I can sympathize, and I was learning it all right along with the kids. So
Yeah. Yeah,
so
I'm not
this
much of a science person either, so I'm definitely in over my head, I think.
so like your school might have some of the powders and metals and stuff that they would be able to give to you to use. That's my school was very helpful with that. Um, some of the powders, a lot of them you can just go get at the grocery store, I suppose, but
Mhm.
um, some of them are the school probably has, and they might be willing to hand some over.
Yep, I do have a few boxes of stuff that I'm still figuring out what everything is, so.
Okay. Yeah. So having a good kit and just practice, practice, practice. Like I said, learning it right along with them. And hopefully, there's a lot of stuff from previous years that you were given.
Yeah.
Um, is there any other questions that I can help you with?
Uh, no, I mean, I'm sure there are, but I can't think of any at the moment.
Okay. So the MichiganScioli.org site, the state did presentations as well. And for even other events your student might be in, that could be helpful too. I know the person who did the state presentation she's very good, and she was I believe, is the national event supervisor for Crime Busters, if I remember correctly.
Okay, I will check out the website.
Okay. So
Thank
I hope
you.
I hope I was some help anyway.
It was. It was. Thank you for everything.
You're welcome. Have a good evening.
All right, you too.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.